We just got a major injury update as it pertains to one of the New York Knicks' most important players, and we got to break it all down. What's up, guys? I'm Matt Long. Welcome to Knicks Basketball 365. If you're a New York Knicks fan, please hit that subscribe button. It really means a lot to me. But getting into the news for today, coming from lead insider Shams Charania, New York Knicks star Jalen Brunson sustained a grade 1 right ankle sprain and will miss Friday's game against the Miami Heat. Sources tell ESPN. He will be evaluated daily. Now, feels like Jalen Brunson rolls his ankle a ton. Sometimes he's okay, sometimes he's not okay. Really tough dude, and we respect the heck out of him for that. But now he'll be missing tomorrow night's game against the Miami Heat. Going to be a group stage game of the in-season tournament for whatever that is worth. But this team is about winning the championship at the end of the year. So we don't want to, we're not going into every single regular season game saying we have to rush Jalen Brunson back because it's the mid-season tournament. We're not saying we have to rush him back for really any reason. The games that we have coming up next, it's 2 games back-to-back against the Miami Heat, and then we are going out west to the Dallas Mavericks, who are really, really struggling. Cooper Flagg, depending on what position he's playing, if he's playing point guard, not doing so hot. If he's playing his natural position of small forward, he's doing pretty well. And then the New York Knicks have a rematch versus the Orlando Magic, who kind of beat us up last night. So we want to get a revenge for that game. But bringing it back to Jalen Brunson, going to be evaluated daily to make sure that this ankle injury does not linger into something worse. We have to remember this year the New York Knicks are going to be more cautious when it comes to injuries, especially when it is injuries to a player as important as Jalen Brunson. When you are a team that you already know that you're going to be really good at the end of the year, you already know you're going to have a good season, you want to make sure that your stars and your entire roster is as healthy as it can possibly be going into the playoffs. Now, right now, yes, it's great to win games, but the games don't matter enough right now. I mean, should the New York Knicks, like the difference between the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4 seed, it's really not important enough. What matters is that you play hard when you're in the playoffs. We saw a couple of years ago, the Miami Heat started as the 8 seed and they were in the NBA Finals. Now, I know different circumstances because of the COVID year, but you can do it out of any seed. It just comes down to what team is actually playing the best in the NBA Finals. In the NBA playoffs, we watch the Pacers every single season. They're always the underdog. They're always going to the opponent's arena for game 7s and for game 1s, and they're still winning a ton of playoff series. So we want to play it safe with Jalen Brunson. We don't want to rush him back. We don't need to win any one game, and this team is still good enough to win basketball games without Jalen Brunson. The Miami Heat, the team that we are currently have 2 back-to-back games against coming up, they're not the most amazing team in the world. We're probably going to end up splitting these games with the Heat and then most likely beating the Mavericks, losing to the Orlando Magic again. We'll take that. Got to let Jalen Brunson get better on his own time. Can't rush him. Do not want to risk him getting re-injured and have to do everything we can to mitigate the risk of re-injury. Jalen Brunson's a really tough guy, so I'm sure he's going to be petitioning head coach Mike Brown to put him back in the game, maybe even before that ankle is fully healed. But we got to make sure Jalen Brunson is as healthy as he can possibly be. Really unfortunate last night. Towards the end of the game, you got the feeling that the next buzzer that went off, the next time the horn sounded, the starters were going to come out for New York. But unfortunately, Jalen Brunson was left out there one more shift longer than he had to be. I mean, it's not on the coaches. The players weren't left out too long. It wasn't like a Tom Thibodeau situation. The game was still absolutely in reach, but they were definitely about to come out, which sucks about how we're going to lose Jalen Brunson in that fashion. But let's talk about who we have here when we're going to be trying to replace what Jalen Brunson is bringing to the table. Now, our number 2 point guard on ESPN is Miles McBride. He, is most likely going to be filling in as a starting point guard for the next games coming up. Not the same guy stylistically as Jalen Brunson, and you will imagine that the basketball will be moving slower when Deuce McBride is the starting point guard. However, this is going to be an opportunity for Tyler Kolek to get a whole lot more minutes, currently slated as our number 3 point guard as according to ESPN. But Kolek is someone who has been coming on pretty strong this year in the minutes that he has played. Was sent down to the Westchester Knicks for a couple games, balled out with Westchester, as he always does. I mean, the difference between G League and NBA, people don't realize how good the NBA is. These guys are absolutely amazing. Even the worst NBA players are a whole lot better than we realize they are. But when Tyler Kolek does enter the game, provided that he's not turning the basketball over, which is something that he struggled with in the past, but not so much this season, Tyler Kolek can be a guy who can get the offense moving at a high level, get guys open shots, and he's not going to score the points that Brunson is going to score, but that's what you pay Mikal Bridges a ton of money for. That's what you pay OG Anunoby and Karl-Anthony Towns a ton of money for. They got to hold down the fort when Jalen Brunson is injured. You have to imagine Brunson is not only going to be missing the first Miami game, but serious doubt for Jalen Brunson with the second Miami game. Although when they are checking on his status every single day, that communicates to us that any given day he could just pop up and be fine. So he very well could be back for the second Miami Heat game on Monday night on the 17th. But we got to make sure that we're not throwing him out in the fire before he is ready. Now, we're going to see maybe there's a little fun option where you put Josh Hart at the one if you want to just punt the shooting from the point guard position. Josh Hart can do, a ton of slashing, and he can move the basketball around from the point guard position. But my, choice would be we're gonna start with Deuce at the point guard, see how it goes. If that works out, we're gonna leave him there. If that doesn't work out, then you would go to Tyler Kolek. But Miles McBride, even if he's not the perfect fit to replace Jalen Brunson, definitely our best guard off the bench, and he's someone who's going to be seeing a humongous uptick in minutes now that Jalen Brunson is not going to be on the floor for the next one game, maybe more. But this team, we got enough talent to be able to float an injury like this. We are very lucky that it wasn't worse. Jalen Brunson left the game last night in a boot with crutches, which is something you never want to see. Brunson, rolls his ankles a lot, but doesn't usually show anything. He usually walks it off, and that it was probably killing him to had to go grab the crutches and put the boot on. Absolutely sucks. You never want to see, that happen to yourself. You always want to show everyone that you're tough. You can walk it off, but hey, what's more important than being tough is protecting yourself, especially when you have an injury. Jalen Brunson, fortunately, the injury wasn't worse than it was, because this definitely could have been something that would have put Jalen Brunson out for more games than it looks like it will be going to. But now, just got to hope that Karl-Anthony Towns is going to, you would imagine he's going to take over as the number one scoring option for the New York Knicks. We're going to see what he can bring to the table. He's got to keep his fouls in check. He's been doing better over the last couple games fouls-wise, but last night he had a really bad frustration foul. That's one of the problems with Karl-Anthony Towns is when he gets mad and when he doesn't get fouls called on the offensive end, that's when he starts to commit frustration fouls on the defensive end. Last night he had a foul that was called a transition take foul, where it was obvious that Karl-Anthony Towns was not trying to stop the transition of the Orlando Magic, that he was just mad that he didn't get a call, and he was mad about the contact. But it still cost us a free throw, and Desmond Bane from the Magic was allowed to shoot an extra free throw and give the Magic a point that we really should not have been giving them. And also, Karl-Anthony Towns had a foul added to his stat sheet, which you only get 6, and when you're a player like Karl-Anthony Towns, you need all 6 of those fouls. He likes to run them up for whatever reason. He's old enough in the NBA where we know it's probably never going to get better. He's always going to be a guy with foul issues, and he is always going to be a player where it is going to be on the head coach to determine how you want to manage his fouls. And one of the things that goes into the minutes of Karl-Anthony Towns is you have to know that he is a player who's prone to committing bad fouls, and you have to put it, you schedule his minutes, not only thinking about his rest and, his flow in the game, how hot he is, but you also got to think, how many fouls does he have? What's the situation? Is it worth putting this player in this situation? But Jalen Brunson, hopefully we get him back soon. We need our captain back. But that's what I got for this video. If you stuck around this long, appreciate you taking the time to watch it all the way through. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Please hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and go Knicks.